All right, everybody, here we are. Happy Wednesday to you and yours. The Bay Ragni Show is now live, and it's going to be an extra special, fun show tonight. Usually we have people on here from the world of music, TV, movies, or whatever, but sometimes we do get serious and have fun. And my guest tonight is a person that I've known, as a matter of fact, we were just saying, way back to like when we were 10, 11 years old in the school playground. Here she is, Maureen Mahoney, and she's a health and wellness coach.
Hi. How
What's
is
up?
everything is up. Everything is up. Thank you
Every,
for having me.
everything is up. So, Maureen, it's pretty crazy. We were just saying, how the hell did we get here? We're in the world of 50 years old, and here we
Yeah.
are.
Yeah, 51. We crossed over.
We did. It's funny, we were just talking about things we've gone through in our lives, especially things in the last few years before we went live. But, the one thing, the Facebook's been a thing now for, I don't know, I think I've been on here for maybe 12, 13 years, whatever it's been. And you've probably been on here for I don't know how long, but I know for the most part that we've been on here and we've been friends for probably a decade on Facebook or not. You
Yeah.
were always pretty quiet on Facebook until recently. There's been this explosion of you. And I got to say, first I was shocked, but I'm loving what you're doing. And you got to be also pretty shocked, but yet proud of yourself.
Yeah, I am way out of my comfort zone. And I got on Facebook when I think my son was like 12.
Okay.
And it was only because I wanted to keep up and see what he was doing because I thought that's what, good parents do. I'm going to spy on my kid. And so I got on Facebook, and for a long time I had this love-hate relationship with Facebook. I thought it was kind of like, mundane, people posting about, what they were doing. And then other people would post like these beautiful written posts about, something meaningful. And I would like that. And I would, in the back of my head, kind of aspire to that. And all along I had like these little whisperings, like you could do that. And I started, then I branched out to Instagram because everybody was like, oh, Instagram is the new thing.
Yep.
And again, I kind of started falling behind people who were doing things that I wanted to do. They were into fitness and they were building this life and they were sharing what they were doing. And so I tried a couple of times because when, back in, 2014, makes us sound old, right? I started a page because I was, running and training for a marathon, and started a page, and I would send out little invites to groups for my friends who, shared values, other women who wanted to, work out, be more healthy. Mm-hmm. And, that kind of just went by the wayside, because I was throwing myself back into like my real job, the job that pays the bills and things like that. And,
sure,
life gets in the way. We get so used to being in our comfort zone, mm-hmm. and looking at what brings us security and, pays the bills and mm-hmm. keeps food on the table, that I kind of just put it aside. And then, like you alluded to, I had, a few really bad years there. And I was like, what do I have to lose? Like, I've been following these women, wanting to live their life, aspire to be in fitness and in wellness, and to influence other women to live their best life. And I was like, what the hell? I'm 50, got nothing to lose, and went hog forward in.
So that's surprising to me. I mean, because again, like we said, you were on social media, but you were kind of very low key, and you were checking out what everybody was doing behind the scenes. But knowing this now, all right. So this is really something then that's been in your head for
Yes.
a long time. It's not like you were just like, all right, well, like I think I'm going to wake up today and like I think I'm going to aspire to really do this and pursue this. So this has really been cooking in your brain for a while.
Yes. Yes. It's been cooking, and it's you know. So I heard a quote today, and the quote was, "It's not who you are who holds you back; it's who you think you're not." And that to me is like really deep, because for me, that was me for, all those years. I thought it was me who couldn't do it.
Mm-hmm.
And in reality, it was who I thought I wasn't. So I had to make that leap. And, it was hard at first because, I am so private.
Mm-hmm.
And like you said, like I would do the birthday post on Facebook and Instagram and things like that. But for the most part, I was pretty private. So when I decided that I was going to do this, I was like, okay, I'm going to do it. I'm going to jump all in. And still to this day, like when I go and I post things, like it was really hard to post a picture of me in a sports bra because I was like, I don't, not that I'm judging other people that do it, because obviously I do it now, but it was like something within me where I was like, no, that's too much.
Right.
And it was just me working through me, trying to get out of my own way, and be a presence on Facebook and on Instagram, and, help other people. Because I think right now, especially in this time, people get worn down by life.
Mm-hmm.
Things come our way. And what we always need to have at the end of the day is our health.
Yeah.
And not just our physical health, but our mental health.
Which is just as important.
If not more important, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And work our way through our limitations. We all have limitations, but
Absolutely.
they're self-imposed.
Now, what was there like anything that really just where you said to yourself, all right, this is it, like that truly pushed you to finally say, I'm going to do this?
It was turning 50.
Really?
Yeah,
Really?
I was turning 50 because, okay, so, you go through life, you have a couple of rough spots, and you're like, one day, and it was like the month of my birthday, I was like thinking to myself, like, I'm really tired of my own shit. It's like I want it in my mind in order to feel my best. Like I needed to lose some weight, and I needed to do some things that were just for me. Mm-hmm. And when the month that I was turning 50, I was like, you know what? I'm going to get this shit straight so I can focus on other things. And at the time, I didn't know what those other things were, but I knew I needed to work on my fitness because I'm a runner. I love to run. But then I noticed I would injure myself. So like I would start off, I'd run. I'm like, okay, I can, get back to where I was running in 2014. And then I'd injure myself or something would happen and it would sideline my running. And I was like, you know what? I'm really tired of it. I wanted to just fix myself, heal myself. Mm-hmm. And it was a process because I was like, I was going to give myself the entire year to do it.
Okay.
And so I turned 50 in August 2020. And, you start off strong first couple of weeks, mm-hmm. I'm excited. I'm going into it. I'm there. And then, something happens, I go back to work because, my full-time job is a teacher. I go back to work and fitness gets slowly pushed back down, doing good, lose the few pounds, gain them back, maybe gain back a few more. And then it wasn't until probably like closer to January that I was like, it was in December where I noticed like old habits just started to slip back in, like
Right.
drinking wine, which, I love my red wine, but we can't be friends anymore. And red wine was like my best friend for a really long time. And so I was like, okay, so in January 1st, I was like, okay, I'm going to do 30 days dry. And I'm going to walk 10,000 miles or 10,000 miles. I wish 10,000 steps a day. And I just made that as my goal. And I started in December, like trying to see where I was at hitting it. And I was really paying attention to like those two things. Like I was going to stop drinking the moment the clock struck 12, January 1st, it was going to be off. And I was going to keep walking. And that's what I did. And then like towards the end of January, once the wine fog lifts, I was like, you know what? I had seen a post from one of my friends, Jacqueline, who she partnered with Beachbody, and she's a coach, and she had sponsored a coach's trip. Okay. And I was like, and that was one of the things that I had always kind of aspired to. And I don't know, like something just spoke to me. It was like, do it and do it now and do it with your whole heart. And that's what I did. Like I contacted her, and then like, I think like January 21st is like my official start. And so I partnered with Beachbody and I went all in. Like I decided like, okay, February 1st, I started a new program with them. I was like, I was going to do that to fidelity, still, didn't drink. So I was like now 2 months into not drinking, and just kept going and going and going. And I haven't looked back. Now I have like backslided with the wine because of course, anytime you had gain a little distance from, something that you truly love. So I was like, oh, I can have, 1 or 2 drinks. And then, no, I can't. So basically I was like, you know what? Like it gets in the way. It gets in the way of me and my headspace and where I need to be and where I want to be, what my goals are. Because as I partnered with Jacqueline and went on my own fitness journey, one of the components was working on your mindset. So I just started listening to professional development, reading books, and, just nourishing my mind and feeding myself and just being who I needed to be at that moment. And here I am.
Now, once you really like started going into like the coaching part of it, and like we said, like you were very quiet on social media, and you really hit it hard.
Yeah.
And you're on there on a daily basis. You're showing your workouts, and you're doing videos on there. You're talking to everybody. You're discussing, what you're eating and everything. When the first, especially your first week of really going out there on social media and doing that, how hard was that for you to do to really I mean, you put it out, like I'll tell you straight up, like when I saw you doing it, I was so, again, like the word I'll probably use throughout this interview is shocked. But I was so impressed because it took a lot of guts to do what you now you're like a professional, like you're boom boom boom. No, you are, you're boom 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 every day. But I know what you were doing back then. You were coming out of the woodwork in the closet of being in the shadows, and then boom, here comes Maureen. I was like, oh my God, where'd this person come from?
Yeah, I was always in there. I just, at first it was incredibly hard just because, again, we get in our own way, and that chatter, the endless chatter in our brains, like, the mean girl, like, who cares what you're doing, and to some degree, 10 years ago, I was that girl too. Like, oh, who cares? You're eating a salad. Like,
Right.
Right. But I kept doing it. And I think the piece that that messes people up is that, yeah, like, everything you want is on the other side of fear. Like, who you want to be is on that other side. Those things that you have to start doing are the very things that, like, terrified me. So, like, going live, or popping on in the morning and, like, oh, good morning, how you doing? The more you do it, the easier it gets. And there's a yogi saying, you just got to lean into it. And that's what I kept doing, because I knew that that's what I needed to do. If I was ever going to overcome, like, my shyness, because I am incredibly introverted and shy at times, and then other times I can be, very extroverted, but you just have to move through it. You just have to do it. And I think that's the piece that I would kind of, like, have these imaginary people, or, like, there were, like, maybe a few people on my friends list where I was like, oh, I bet they're talking about me. These little, inner wars that we have.
Sure.
And I finally got to the part, like, so what if they're talking about you? Then you're on their mind.
You're doing the right thing then.
Right. Yeah. The more people talk, the that's, a clue that you're on the right track.
Yep.
But, it's just, I was letting maybe the opinions of 3 people hold me back from who I want to be. And so a lot of the work I've done is creating this vision for myself, and people that I work with, we work through creating a vision. Like, who do you want to be? And it's oftentimes the people that you admire, or the position that you want to work into. And what holds people back is the fact that they don't see themselves doing that, because they haven't created that vision for themselves. Because we can all be it. We just, have to work towards it.
Now, how about, like, once you really did start getting into it, did any of those, we'll say, did any of the 3 people, but not only the 3 people, but did, like, family and close friends, like, say, yo, Maureen, what the hell are you doing?
Yeah, I had a couple comments like, what are you doing? Oh, you're doing Beachbody. And, but again, like, I was, when I'm doing everything right for me, like working out and hitting the mindset work and reading my stuff, I really don't care. There is something satisfying, and there's something comfortable. And maybe it comes with turning 50 that, when I know I'm messing with the camera, when you walk into the room and, like, you don't care whether or not the people like you or not, because you know what you're bringing to the table. And I know what I'm bringing to the table. And I think that's a powerful reckoning for everyone to understand that we're all unique. And yeah, I mean, there may be people who don't like you. Not everybody can like you, but you know what you bring. And when you sit in that central idea that you are worthy and that you can help people, it's a pretty powerful place to be.
Now, how about you mentioned already, like, your normal career is a school teacher. So how much, being a school teacher, has that helped you, as well as being a health and wellness coach?
My patience. My patience. And, I'm a nurturer at heart. So that's what I do. When people are coming to me, I'm their sounding board. Sometimes I'm their only friend. I mean, they have other friends, but sometimes I'm the only person that, they can come to and lay their they're crap, and I'm not judging them. um, because as a teacher, I work with many different types of students, and I love all my students. But I think the thing that sets me apart is that I always see their value, and I always respect them as a human. And knowing like my experience with my own kids and the things that they have gone through at school, that we all have something to contribute,
Yeah.
and we should all have that one person in our corner cheering us on and encouraging us. And I'm the encourager. you know it's you know when I talk with people who are I have this one client who is, she needs to lose quite a bit of weight to have a knee replaced, and
Okay.
her battle is sugar. And it's hard giving up sugar. So when you are faced with, you know, having that sugary cup of coffee because it soothes you
Hmm.
and offers you comfort, you got to have something else in your toolbox
Right.
to help you overcome that, because, food is a source of emotion for us.
Hmm.
It's so much is in the food that we eat. And I'm not talking like physically, but emotionally.
Hmm.
So.
I had a years ago I was going to Weight Watchers,
Mhm,
and I'll never forget. And this, I went for a weigh-in one week, and this person said to me, that was one of the counselors there. She said this to me, and it has stuck with me so much. And I tell people this all the time because it's so true. And I'll never forget. Like, I was standing on the scale, and I was looking at her, and I probably had gone up that week. And
mhm,
she just looked me dead in the face. She said, "You know what? I know it's not what you're eating, but it's what's eating you."
mm,
And I was like, like,
wow.
I was like, wow, yeah. I said,
Yeah.
you hit the nail on the head so bad
Yeah.
because, I'm sure most of us, whether you're um, depressed or sad or mad, you
Yeah.
turn to food. And even when you're happy and you celebrate, you turn to food to celebrate. So
Right.
every emotion of the spectrum, you're turning to food to console you or
Yeah.
make you happy.
Right. Yeah. And it's not just, it's, another woman shared with me, where, you know, as women tend to not feel that they are not enough
Okay.
in their life or whatever. So, we take what we get, and just make do with things. And we were talking, and in getting her to kind of like dig a little bit further, she said, when she was a little girl, if anything ever went wrong in her life,
Hmm.
her grandmother would feed her.
Yeah.
And so that was like, the beginning of seeking food for comfort, to soothe,
Right.
to console. But then, like, if something happened, she would say, her grandmother would say to her, well, that's because you're fat. Like,
Mhm.
you know, that's why that happened to you, because you're fat.
Wow.
And it's like, talk about trauma,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah,
And
definitely.
then you internalize that
Mhm.
as a child, and you bring that into your future relationships, into who you are, into who you value or what you value.
Mhm.
And I think so much with, media and, society, we valued, you know, a certain size person.
Mhm.
And, we walk around like judging ourselves, evaluating ourselves based on this figment of imagination.
Right.
Sometimes it takes some undoing. Takes a lot of undoing.
A lot of undoing.
Yeah.
Now, how about that? Like when you got involved in the whole part of this, and becoming getting into the whole fitness world, which you already pretty much involved in, but even taking it further for yourself, but then becoming the coach.
Hmm.
Did you realize? I mean, like you're pretty much kind of like what you said. Like you're becoming now. a friend to people,
Mhm.
and a soundboard, and almost like a therapist as well as times.
Yeah, sometimes. But um, anytime we're talking about like a major life change, we got to talk about the mindset around it,
Yeah.
because so often what holds us back are our limiting beliefs around the issue.
Hmm.
And whether or not, those beliefs are just coming to us, or they've been taught to us by our parents. Like, my parents were of the generation, there was the depression. You didn't waste anything. You put
Yep.
food on your plate, you ate it.
Hmm.
Girls should be, quiet and not seen. And, so it's so much more when you talk about just a lifestyle or just simply losing weight,
Hmm.
because I've been on that cycle for years, and when I first really struggled with my weight was after I had my first child. I had gained like 75 pounds with my first kid, and I was,
Wow.
pre-pregnancy, I was probably like maybe 100 pounds. I don't know. I don't even know what I was. But I was like, you know, after the baby, oh, it'll just come off. Well,
Hmm.
no, it doesn't just come off. And then you go into like all these different cycles of, restriction. You kind of teeter on like, depriving, total deprivation, no fun. You're
Hmm.
watching everybody eat, and you're trying to eat these crumbs and act like you're satisfied. And, I really had no idea how hard it was to lose weight until, you know, I tried. And, I would reach that goal and go right back to my habits,
Hmm.
you know, and then I would gain the 10 pounds or 10, 15 pounds back, depending on how long I would let myself go. And then I would go right back into that cycle. I would lose weight
Right.
again. And it wasn't until like I started working on my mindset and some of, the limiting beliefs that I hold around diet and exercise and goals. Um, it it just it just perpetuates. So you have to do the mindset work.
It's funny you say that. I mean, because it's so true. Like, um, after I lost a bunch of weight, I had a lot of people like reach out to me, just like I've done to people in the past too, where I see people have lost weight, and you ask the question like, "How did you do it?" And everybody expects kind of like this miracle answer,
Right.
like you just
A
snap your
magic pill.
fingers, and you take this magic pill,
Mhm.
and it's gone. And you know, eh, this time around, like I've lost weight in the past, and then going back to old habits,
Mhm.
gained it back. But this time around, like when people would ask me, like the number one thing I first said to them, I said, "It's unless your mind's in the right place, you're not going to do it.
Yes.
You have to be in the right mindset, no matter what, to get that focus to truly, sincerely do it."
Yeah.
And people don't want to hear that. They
No.
don't.
And the other thing is like weight loss is not linear.
No.
It just doesn't go from A to B and then you're going to lose.
Yes.
Like, it's you're eating really well, but your weight might spike, it might go up a half a pound. And to some people, like I have one client, it totally derails her. She's like, I
Yeah.
went up and I ate so good. Like, this is crap. And it's like, no, there's more than one indicator,
Yeah. Yeah.
and we get so fixated on that scale,
Hmm.
and we let that scale dictate how we feel about
Right.
ourselves. And so that's the other aspect of it, is not focusing on the scale but the non-scale victories.
Hmm.
And when you work in your mindset, I think those become more apparent, and you attach your lifestyle with how you feel. And
Right.
that's what I try and get through. Like, but how do you feel? How is your mood? How are you sleeping?
Hmm.
Um, because those are all indicators of health.
So true.
Yeah.
It's so it's so funny because like I before I went to Weight Watchers, I used to go to LA Weight Loss,
Hmm.
and back in the day, I mean, they're not even in business anymore. But I had coaches like yourself now, and it's funny because they would ask those same questions, and back then, it's like you're saying with your one client, you would you know that half pound, you would look to see whether you're going to lose that half pound or gain a half pound. But if you gain that half pound, it could be like the end of the world, and
Yeah.
you're not realizing them small little victories that you could be accomplishing along the way
Right.
because you're so focused on the scale.
Yeah. And it's like, cortisol. So if you're stressed out and you're carrying the weight, that's going to affect your weight.
Yeah,
So there's so many different components to it that it's, everyone, like you said, everyone wants to take that teaspoon of whatever, and their skin starts glowing.
right.
They drop some pounds, and it's not sustainable, I guess is what I'm getting to. And what you want to focus on is making those small changes to your lifestyle that you can keep going, and focus on the end result, where you want to go, how you want to feel, who
Right.
you want to be. And, like I was saying, like kind of circling back, like, my oldest son got married. So, I mean, he's going to have kids. I want to be the type of grandparent that, can play on the floor with, my grandbabies. You want to like be active and vibrant and just enjoying life and traveling. And, you can't do that if you have all these, health things going on.
It's true.
Yeah.
And the fact that you just said possible grandbabies, I'm thinking again, like we were saying before we went live, like how did we get here? Like wasn't we just
I
back
know.
in like the school playground?
I don't feel that old.
It's so funny. It, it really is so funny. So all right, so what do you think um is the easiest part of this whole especially the coaching part of what you're doing? What do you think is the easiest part of you now being a health and wellness coach?
The easiest part,
Or I should say favorite part. Let's say favorite part.
favorite part is connecting with people. There's nothing that gets me happier than getting like a text from one of my clients that say, "Hey, I couldn't do this before, but now I can." Or, I went to my sister's house and she noticed I lost some weight. Or, I can now walk up the steps without gasping for air.
Wow.
So those are like the favorite things. And I think that goes back to like the teacher in me, because that's what
Hmm.
you look for. I mean, you're not in it for the money per se, but you're
Yeah.
like, you look for those. You want to know that your work has mattered, has
Hmm.
impacted. And I think that's what keeps me, that's my most favorite part. Aside from connecting with people, because, you know, we are not alone in this world. And anytime you can connect with people and, help them through their stuff, I
Hmm.
think is a great opportunity where, you know, you're helping. We used to say, like, there's that saying that thought came to me the other day, like, do no harm, you know, and it's like, yeah, but I think we need to do better than that. Like,
Yeah.
sure, not leave anybody worse,
Hmm.
but to say that we haven't had any effect on anyone is probably not good either. Like, we should leave people in a better position,
Right.
lighten their load and help them achieve it. Because, like, when you're working on your vision, when you're working
Hmm.
on your goals and you're working within your zone of genius, it feels great.
Yeah.
You feel alive. And yeah, things may come that, may dampen your spirit. But at the end of the day, when you are like truly working through and working towards your goals, you feel great and you feel confident and you just feel good. And that is a good feeling. And that's what I want more people to experience, because, it all comes down to just what vision do you have for yourself? And then how can we break that up into goals to make it actionable for you?
Now, so you're taking on more clients. So how can somebody seek you out now, and you can they can be under you as you can be their coach.
Well, I'm on Facebook. Maureen Mahoney. It's a picture of me. And then on Instagram, my IG handle is Maureen _Mahoney _wellness. And then, of course, anybody can email me too at zoecoconut@gmail.com.
Nice. Now, how about so you can become their coach, but also too, could you like take people under your tutelage, so to say, and turn
Yes.
them into a coach as well?
Yeah. Anybody who's interested in becoming a coach. And I'm glad you bring that up, because that's like a common misconception that people think that, oh, I got to do the work on myself first before I become a coach, before I help someone else. And that's not true. You can work on yourself first, right along with your clients, because often what you're doing, you're bringing your friends into the fold first.
Mm-hmm.
And so if you want to become a coach, yes. And I have to say, like, my team, we have great trainings. And if you decide to join, you're like fully supported. There's, almost daily meetings that you can plug into that help you troubleshoot any area. We give information on Instagram and Facebook, and you don't even have to have a huge following. Like, I did not have a huge following. And I still don't, compared to some other people. It's
Right.
just basically you're starting with yourself, and then you're just expanding, so you're bringing on 2 people a month. And then those 2 people, if they want to become working coaches, then they're bringing on some people. And then you're just, your circle gets bigger and bigger,
Right.
And I think that's what people think, like, oh, I got to be this perfect person.
Mm-hmm.
And you don't. You just have to be relatable. You got to, do the work out, eat well, just be
Stay away
real.
from the wine.
For me, I mean, some people don't have to, but I'm at the, I write about that. I haven't posted about it yet, because I'm always like kind of torn, because, I wouldn't say I'm an alcoholic, but I'm definitely prone to overdrink the wine.
A
And,
wine lover.
I'm a wine lover, and a good bottle at that too. You know what I mean? I mean, who doesn't? But I know how it affects me. And I think that's the other piece to it, is creating awareness, like, removing this one variable out of your life and seeing how you are, what changes. And, immediately, like, my sleep got better, my mindset got better. I wasn't as tired. And then when I added it back in, I'm like, okay, now I'm not sleeping well.
Mm.
Now sometimes I'm in my feelings, things bug me, what is it? And it,
Right.
it was the wine. So I don't want to live like that anymore. So, not to say I won't ever have a glass of wine again, but I'm not having it right now.
I wish I could say the same.
But the other part to it is that I think a lot of women have that problem, because when I have posted about, like, my dry January, I got a lot of messages from people like, yeah, I had to stop drinking the wine too, or I'm taking a break from it. And when I noticed what we were looking, like media and stuff like that, everywhere you turned around, women were drinking a glass of wine. And it's like, and there's still days where I'm like, oh, I could go for a glass of wine, but I just don't do that anymore. So
now doing this whole the coaching end of it too, and like you're saying, people don't have to wait if they want to become a coach.
no,
They can do it at the same time. Do you think it also helped you to stay on track
Yeah.
knowing that you are a coach as well?
Yes, it absolutely does because it's one thing to not hold yourself to your standard,
Hmm.
because some battles are more private. But when I
Yeah.
have to look at my group of ladies, you better believe I'm doing what I say I'm going to do, because I think it comes back to integrity.
Hmm.
We're at the end of the day, and now that I've been doing this, like now I don't go back on myself, because I'm holding myself in that same esteem that I would hold somebody else, because I realize that, I am the most important person that I need to hold accountable. And I don't want to break the promise to myself, you
That's good.
know, and I think that's been earth changing for me too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it's very easy for anybody just to, say screw it and break those promises to yourself. But
Right.
you've been doing a hell of a job.
Well, thank you. Thank you.
Which,
Yeah.
which the other day you actually, it might have been like last week, you posted like a progress update of pictures.
Yeah.
What
Yeah.
do you think when you looked at those? I mean, because you
Oh
can
my gosh.
see the difference big time.
Yeah. And I know the one that I just recently did. I, I see, I don't know. When I first look at it, I'm my worst critic. Like I see the bloat. I see someone who's just, holding on, just trying to do her best. And
Hmm.
then when I see who I have become, I see a much more confident person. And hands down, that's who I want to be. you know and then I go back and I look at the other picture and I'm like, yeah, but she's been through some shit. And sometimes when I go back and I scroll through my pictures, I'm like, oh my gosh, you're holding on, you know what I mean? And I love that person, because she's who got me here today.
Hmm.
But I don't ever want to go back. You know what I mean? But I honor and I recognize that, it's all a journey. We're all on this journey and we all are going to walk each other home at some point. Um, so yeah, I do. I look back and I'm like, oh gosh, I thought I was doing so much. But again, I don't know. It's crazy. It's definitely crazy.
Well, you are killing it. I got to tell you.
Well, thank
And
you. So
I'm
are
gonna say,
you.
well, thank you. And I'm gonna say it again. It still shocks me every morning and every day when I see your post. I'm like, wow, she's out there and she's doing it. She's
Yeah.
making it happen. So
I
you got to be proud of yourself.
yeah, I am. I definitely am. And the more that I work in it, the more I improve. And I think if anything, getting anything out of like our little session tonight, it's you work in your zone and
Hmm.
just keep working, because it does get better. It does get easier. You do get over yourself. And really, you gotta you gotta figure out who it is you want to be and just go be that person.
Well, you figured it out.
Well, thank you. I'm
You
still.
went through a little bit of hell, like we all do, but you went through some hell and you came out the other
Yeah.
side and you
Oh
figured
yeah,
it out.
we all do.
Absolutely. All
Yeah.
right, Maureen, I want to thank you for doing this. What we're going to do is we'll drop the links below in the comments sections. This way, everybody can
Okay.
see where the best place to get hold of you. Um, and yeah, everybody, reach out to Maureen. She could be your coach, and she can show you how to become a coach as well, like her, and be killing it like Maureen. Trust me, she she's killing it, and you can shock your friends and family too, and become a social media queen like she's doing.
Yeah, and I'm not finished yet. So
There you go. There
yeah,
you go.
that's the most important thing.
Maureen, congrats on everything. It's well deserved, and I can't wait to see where you end up going from here.
Well, same to you, Bay, because you always started with that hashtag winning, and look at you. You're working it.
Yeah, I stole it from Charlie Sheen. I figured if somebody can screw up as much as he had and
Oh my
still come
gosh.
out on top, you know what?
That's right. And you're still on top. You're still
There
doing
you
it.
go.
And I think it's great. It's awesome.
Thank you. All right, everybody, check the comments below. We're going to be dropping links. Hit up Maureen and change your life the way she has, and be winning like Maureen.
Peace.
All right.